Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on quite a journey, actually, into a topic that really promises to be a shortcut to success. And not just in one specific thing like, say, language learning, but well, in pretty much every aspect of your life. We've got a fascinating stack of sources for this deep dive, including some incredibly insightful excerpts from a piece called Discipline, Your Path to English and Life Success. And what's really compelling about these materials is just how practical they are, offering insights you can genuinely apply, starting today. So our mission for you, the listener, is to really pull back the curtain on the true nature of discipline. We want to distinguish it from some common misconceptions, things that might actually be holding you back, and explore its profound, really far-reaching impact. We want to arm you with concrete, actionable strategies to cultivate it starting right now. Even if you feel like you're, constantly struggling, forget about relying on, elusive talent or that fleeting burst of motivation that seems to vanish just as quickly as it appears. Our sources highlight one powerful foundational tool you absolutely need: discipline. It's the ultimate game changer for anyone looking to bridge that gap between where they are and where they want to be.
Indeed. And what's truly fascinating here is how the material fundamentally reframes discipline. It really does. It's not presented as this rigid, restrictive, or even punitive kind of concept, which is honestly how many people mistakenly view it. On the contrary, it's depicted as the most direct and frankly reliable path to greater freedom. So we'll be looking at how this concept, so often misunderstood and misapplied, is genuinely the difference between merely wishing for improvement and actually achieving it. It's that transformative power, the thing that shifts you from an aspirational, I want to be better, to actually becoming better, embedding those changes right into your daily reality.
Exactly. And we're going to dive deep into how this powerful idea has transformed personal journeys, specifically in the context of learning English, which I know is a goal many of our listeners share. But beyond that, we'll explore how those same principles can profoundly shape your confidence, your fluency, and, even your entire way of living, making you a more effective and empowered individual. And we're not just going to talk theory today. We'll provide real, actionable strategies you can start using immediately to develop this crucial skill, even if right now you might feel, lazy, overwhelmed, or just completely stuck in a rut. So let's get right into it and uncover the true power of discipline. Okay, let's start with something that seems simple on the surface. Yet, as our sources reveal, it's surprisingly deep and often misinterpreted by many. Our material poses a fundamental question right out of the gate. What is discipline, really? And the answer they provide, it might just challenge some of the common assumptions we tend to carry about it. It could reshape our entire perspective.
This raises an important question, doesn't it? Because many people, and I'd guess most people, associate discipline with being overly strict, or perhaps even boring, or feeling like some kind of self-punishment. It often conjures up these images of rigid rules, joyless adherence, and this constant internal battle against your own desires. Like you're fighting yourself all the time. But the source material provides a definition that fundamentally redefines it. It really turns that perception on its head. Discipline, at its core, is explicitly described as the ability to control your actions, emotions, and habits in order to do what's right, not what's easy.
Right.
That's a crucial distinction, isn't it? It shifts the focus from some external force imposing rules to internal self-mastery.
That's such an incredibly important distinction, that conscious choice of doing what's right over what's easy. It offers a very different lens to view it through, moving away from that idea of rigidity towards intentionality.
You see purpose.
Can you give us some of the examples the source material provides, just to make this concept really concrete for our listener? What does this actually look like in everyday life, not just an abstract definition?
Absolutely. Think about it in very practical terms, as the sources lay it out. It's waking up early to study English when your bed feels incredibly warm and inviting, and you'd much rather hit the snooze button and sleep in. We've all been there, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. It's practicing speaking, actively engaging in conversation, even when you're acutely afraid of making mistakes, even when you're worried about sounding imperfect, or you feel that surge of anxiety rising up. Or, as the sources put it so succinctly, so powerfully, it's choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It's that consistent, deliberate prioritization of your future self, your aspirational self, over the immediate gratification or the ease of the present moment. It's those small daily wins over inertia.
So it's fundamentally not about punishment then, or some kind of self-imposed joyless rigidity like we often imagine. It's truly about a fundamental choice, a conscious decision to prioritize growth and alignment with your goals. The source material even takes it a significant step further. It states that real discipline is freedom.
That's a powerful paradox, isn't it? This idea that control, particularly self-control, ultimately leads to liberation. It almost sounds counterintuitive at first.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources argue that without this kind of deliberate self-control, without discipline, we often find ourselves stuck in stagnant patterns, maybe repeating cycles of inaction, procrastination, or just, drifting along, subject to every passing whim or external distraction. We kind of become prisoners of our impulses in a way.
Right.
With discipline, however, we gain the profound freedom to truly grow into the person we genuinely want to become, to realize our full potential and to align our daily actions with our deepest values. It completely shifts the dynamic from feeling controlled by external forces or, fleeting emotions to actively taking the reins of your own life. It's an incredibly empowering perspective. It suggests that discipline is the very mechanism through which we achieve self-mastery and ultimately our desired future, free from the tyranny of immediate desires.
Okay, so to really illustrate this transformative power of discipline, our source shares a really compelling personal story. It's a journey that I think many of us, especially those of us who are, say, learning a language or pursuing any kind of significant long-term goal, have probably experienced in one way or another. This particular anecdote feels incredibly relatable. It highlights a very common struggle.
Oh, definitely. This personal anecdote highlights a profoundly common pitfall, one that so many of us fall into. And that's the pervasive reliance on external motivation, or frankly, just waiting around for inspiration to strike. The author recounts being much like many people, having that strong, genuine desire to speak better English. They watched English movies, they eagerly followed language tips online, downloaded various apps.
They wanted it.
Exactly. They wanted to improve. But crucially, they lacked consistency. There would be these intense weeks of study, maybe fueled by an initial burst of enthusiasm, but then followed by weeks of skipping everything entirely, just falling off the wagon. And this cycle was always accompanied by that familiar internal promise, right? I'll start tomorrow, or I'll get serious next week.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah. And of course, as the author states, tomorrow, when it came to actual consistent action, never came. This is a pattern many of us recognize in our own lives, isn't it? That cycle of initial enthusiasm followed by inaction and disappointment, just leaving us stuck in the same place.
And that's precisely where the aha moment comes in for the author, that piercing realization, the realization that they were waiting for motivation and it wasn't coming. This, for anyone listening right now who might be feeling stuck in a similar loop, this is such a critical turning point, isn't it? That moment where you acknowledge that simply wanting something isn't enough. You have to fundamentally change your approach. You need to move beyond the unpredictable whims of just feeling motivated.
Indeed. That shift from being interested to being committed is paramount. It's absolutely crucial. It's the pivot from a passive desire, like, oh, it would be nice to speak English better, to an active, resolute choice. I will speak English better, and I will take the necessary steps regardless of how I feel about it today. The author describes making a firm decision to practice English for 30 minutes every single day, without excuses. And this wasn't a sudden burst of inspiration, It was a conscious, deliberate choice. It showcases discipline in its purest, most immediate action.
Right, it was a decision, not a feeling.
Exactly. This meant adhering to it even on bad days, days where they felt drained or tired, and crucially, even on lazy days when the couch seemed far, far more appealing than a textbook. It illustrates that discipline isn't about feeling a certain way, it's about acting a certain way. Consistently, regardless of internal or external conditions, this deliberate act of choice, often uncomfortable at first, that's the true engine of progress.
So, what happened next in the author's story? This is really insightful for our listener because it reflects the often unseen reality of building any new habit or skill. The initial struggle is almost always there, right? The source mentions the first week being hard, doubts creeping in, feeling no immediate discernible improvement. You're putting in the work, but the results aren't obvious. It feels like you're spinning your wheels. But, and this is the key, the persistence paid off. It wasn't instantaneous, that overnight transformation we often hope for, but the consistent, diligent effort began to compound day by day.
Exactly. The sources reveal a powerful and inspiring transformation that unfolded after that initial difficult struggle. By the second month of consistent, disciplined practice, something truly amazing happened. English didn't feel like a chore any longer. It actually became an ingrained habit. It shifted. It wasn't something they had to force themselves to do, but something they just naturally did, almost without thinking, like brushing your teeth. This shift from obligation to integration led to genuinely tangible results. Things that went far beyond just understanding grammar rules. They started thinking directly in English, which is a remarkable milestone for any language learner, right?
Huge.
Yeah. They could speak without that cumbersome process of translating in their head, allowing for a much more natural and fluent flow of conversation. And they even gained the confidence to give a short talk entirely in English at a local event. I mean, that's a testament to their newfound fluency and self-assurance. The key takeaway here, explicitly stated in the source, is this. That confidence, that fluency, it didn't come from talent. It came from discipline.
That's powerful.
It really is. This narrative powerfully underscores the practical application and transformative power of consistent, disciplined effort over, say, innate ability or spontaneous motivation. It's not just a nice story. It's basically a blueprint for anyone seeking to achieve a complex goal. It proves that persistence truly is the pathway to proficiency.
Okay, so this compelling personal journey leads us directly to a crucial distinction, one that's powerfully highlighted in our sources, and that's the fundamental difference between motivation and discipline. So many people mistakenly believe they need to feel motivated to act. That inspiration has to strike before they can begin any significant endeavor. But our material offers a truly counterintuitive truth here, one that can genuinely set you free from the whims of your emotions and empower you to act consistently.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the stark, clear differentiation the sources lay out, and it really is a game changer for many people. They state unequivocally that motivation is a feeling, discipline is a decision.
Feeling versus decision. Okay.
Exactly. This is a profound shift in perspective. It moves responsibility from some unpredictable external force that you just wait for to an internal conscious choice that you actively make. Motivation, the source explains, is much like the weather. It changes every day. It's unpredictable. Some mornings you might wake up feeling incredibly excited, energized, ready to conquer the world, eager to tackle your English studies, while on other days you might feel lazy, sluggish, profoundly sad, or just, utterly uninterested. It's a fickle, unreliable ally. It's not something you can count on for long-term progress.
So if you're building your entire plan for progress, for achievement, on that shifting, unpredictable weather system of your feelings, what inevitably happens? What happens when the storms hit, or when the sun simply doesn't shine and you just don't feel like it? What becomes of your goals then? It sounds like a recipe for constant starts and stops, doesn't it?
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. If you rely only on motivation, you will inevitably quit. You'll quit when things get hard, when the initial novelty wears off, or when life inevitably throws a curveball and you face unexpected challenges. That's the critical point. Motivation is great when it's there, don't get me wrong, but it's just not a sustainable foundation for long-term growth. But if you rely on discipline, if you make that conscious, unwavering decision, regardless of your emotional state, you'll keep going no matter how you feel.
No matter how you feel, that's the core.
That is the core. This, the source argues, is the cornerstone of sustained progress and long-term achievement. It's the consistent, unwavering action that transcends the momentary fluctuations of emotion. It allows you to build momentum even when internal resistance is high. It's about building resilience, right? About showing up even when your inner critic is screaming at you to stop.
Can you give us a concrete example from the source, how this plays out in a very practical daily life scenario, something our listeners can instantly relate to, maybe from their own experiences?
Yeah, the material is very direct, and it paints a clear picture that I think resonates with those daily struggles we all face. It explains that discipline is what gets you to study even when Netflix looks tempting. We all know that feeling, right? When all you want to do is binge watch your favorite show or endlessly scroll social media.
The path of least resistance.
Totally. Discipline is what gets you to open your notebook or your language app, even when no one is watching, even when there's no immediate external accountability pushing you. It's that quiet internal commitment to your long-term goals. The message is crystal clear and unequivocal. If you want real, tangible, lasting results, don't wait for motivation to arrive, because it might not show up today or tomorrow. Instead, the focus should be squarely on building discipline.
Building it, not waiting for it.
Exactly. This directly addresses the listener's desire for concrete, applicable insights. It offers a pathway forward that isn't dependent on fleeting emotional states, but rather on deliberate, consistent action. It's about training yourself to act in alignment with your intentions, regardless of how you happen to feel in that particular moment.
Okay, now let's bring this discussion back directly to language learning. We know this is a major interest and a shared goal for many of our listeners. Our sources don't just talk about discipline in a general sense. They outline 5 specific, powerful ways discipline becomes your greatest ally, your secret weapon, really, in the journey of improving your English. These aren't just abstract ideas. They explain the mechanism of how discipline helps you learn better, faster, and with more confidence.
Yeah, this section provides direct, actionable insights for anyone working diligently on language acquisition. It really distills the essence of effective learning. First, and this is crucial for anyone feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of a new language, is the principle that consistency beats intensity.
Okay, consistency over intensity.
Right. The sources emphasize that it's better to study English for 30 minutes daily than to try and cram 3 hours once a week. And this isn't just like anecdotal advice. Discipline, in this context, helps you create these crucial daily learning routines. These regular, manageable increments are far more effective for long-term retention and skill development than sporadic, intense bursts of effort.
Like cramming for a test, right? It doesn't stick.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Your brain needs regular, gentle nudges to truly integrate new information. Consistent, smaller doses allow for better neural pathway formation and memory consolidation. Unlike cramming, which often leads to superficial learning that just quickly fades, it's about building a consistent rhythm that your brain can actually rely on.
That makes so much sense. It's about those small, steady steps accumulating over time. Not how much you do in one go, but how regularly you show up.
Precisely. The second point, which builds directly on consistency, is that you learn faster.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, this isn't just wishful thinking or a vague promise. It's actually rooted in cognitive science. Regular, disciplined exposure to new grammar structures, expanding vocabulary, and practicing pronunciation creates an environment where your brain can connect ideas, patterns, and sounds more rapidly and efficiently. This consistent engagement literally helps to build and strengthen the neural pathways necessary for language acquisition. Imagine your brain is like a landscape, right? And each time you practice, you're paving a new road or strengthening an existing one.
Okay.
The more regularly you use that road, the smoother and faster information travels along it, which in turn accelerates the entire learning process. Your brain is constantly working, making connections, even when you're not actively aware of it. And discipline consistently feeds that process, making it more efficient.
That deepens the understanding significantly. So it's not just about more exposure, but consistent exposure, which fundamentally rewires your brain for faster learning. Okay, what comes next after that accelerated learning?
The third powerful way discipline helps, and this is a tangible, deeply personal benefit, is that you feel more confident.
Ah, confidence. Everyone wants that.
Right. And this is a direct, observable consequence of consistent action. The more you consistently practice, whether it's speaking, writing, or listening, the more fluent and comfortable you naturally begin to feel with the language. That confidence isn't something that appears magically overnight. It builds steadily and incrementally over time, thanks to the compounding effect of discipline. Every single time you show up and put in the work, you're reinforcing to yourself that you are capable of learning, growing, and mastering this skill.
It's like building evidence for yourself.
Exactly. It's important to note that it's not about being perfect from the outset, but about persistent engagement and showing up daily. Every small win, every successful sentence, every phrase you understand fuels that growing sense of self-assurance. It creates a positive feedback loop that makes you want to keep going.
That confidence, born from consistent action, must be a huge motivator in itself, almost like a reward for the discipline. It's fascinating how one aspect feeds into the other.
It absolutely is. It creates a really powerful positive feedback loop, and that leads directly to the fourth point. You overcome fear.
Ah, the fear barrier. That's a big one for language learners.
Huge. Fear of making mistakes, fear of sounding foolish, fear of not being understood. These are common inhibitors, right? However, when you make speaking or writing in English a regular, non-negotiable habit through discipline, that fear slowly, almost imperceptibly, just dissipates. It fades away. You move beyond that paralyzing tendency to overthink every word and the inhibiting self-consciousness that often prevents communication. As the act itself becomes normalized and routine, communication begins to flow more naturally. Discipline transforms the daunting into the routine, basically, making it less intimidating and more approachable with each repeated action. You start to realize that mistakes are just part of the process, not something to be feared. And that realization liberates you to truly communicate. Finally, the fifth point, which is perhaps the most profound in terms of personal development, is that you build a growth mindset.
Okay, explain that one. Growth mindset.
So discipline fundamentally trains you to focus on the effort you put in and the process of learning, rather than solely fixating on the outcome of perfection. In a world that's often obsessed with instant gratification and flawless results, discipline teaches you patience and persistence. You learn, through consistent action and overcoming challenges, that progress is more important than being perfect.
Progress over perfection.
Exactly. This fosters a resilient, adaptable mindset that embraces continuous improvement. It views mistakes as valuable learning opportunities, and it values the journey of growth above some elusive, flawless end state. It teaches you that your abilities aren't fixed. They can be developed through dedication and hard work.
So, what does this all mean for you, the listener? Especially if English is an important goal for you, whether for career, travel, or just personal growth. Our deep dive suggests that instead of waiting for inspiration, instead of hoping you'll suddenly feel motivated, you should actively make discipline your daily partner. It's not just about what you learn, but fundamentally about how you learn it. Consistently, deliberately, and with an unwavering commitment to showing up. That's where the real transformation happens. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Our sources reveal that discipline isn't just a powerful tool for mastering a language. It's far more expensive than that. It's presented as a foundational, universal skill, a profound lever that once you develop it in one area, naturally spills over into and positively impacts literally every single other area of your life. It's an investment with incredible multifaceted returns. It's like getting leverage on yourself.
Indeed. This connection to the bigger picture, to how discipline permeates all facets of existence, is absolutely vital for a holistic understanding of its power. The sources vividly illustrate how building discipline in one specific area, like the consistent practice of learning English, essentially serves as a rigorous training ground. It prepares and strengthens you for broader life success. It's like a mental and emotional workout that fortifies your willpower muscle. Consider your career. Discipline directly translates to professional excellence and advancement. It just does. It means consistently showing up on time, reliably meeting deadlines, maintaining focus on tasks even when they're challenging or, frankly, tedious, and being persistent in problem solving.
The fundamentals, right?
Exactly. These aren't just good habits. They are the fundamental cornerstones of professional growth, reliability, and ultimately promotion. Without them, career progression often becomes this uphill battle marked by missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. It's the discipline to follow through, even when the initial excitement of a new project wears off. Then there's your health and well-being. Discipline is the undeniable driving force behind making better nutritional choices, behind consistently engaging in regular physical exercise even when you really don't feel like it, and ensuring you get adequate restorative sleep.
The trifecta of health.
Pretty much. It's a choice to prepare healthy meals instead of grabbing fast food, to go for that walk even when you're tired, or to turn off screens and go to bed at a reasonable hour. Without this consistent discipline in these fundamental areas, our personal health inevitably suffers, leading to a decline in overall well-being, energy levels, mental clarity. It's about making those proactive choices for your long-term vitality, recognizing that immediate gratification can often compromise future health.
It's easy to see how those daily discipline choices really add up, not just in terms of physical well-being, but also mental resilience. When you consistently make those healthy choices, you feel better, which then feeds into other areas of your life too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a completely integrated system.
Yeah.
And moving to finances. Want to save money, pay off debt, build financial security and independence. The sources are unequivocally clear. That takes discipline specifically, the ability to say no to impulse spending.
The impulse buy. The enemy.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's about resisting that urge for instant gratification, making deliberate, conscious financial choices that align with your long-term monetary goals, rather than just succumbing to immediate desires or societal pressures to consume. This often requires considerable restraint, foresight, and a disciplined approach to budgeting and saving. It's the disciplined choice to delay gratification for a more secure future. And finally, even seemingly soft skills crucial for healthy relationships, fundamentally require discipline.
How so? That seems less obvious, maybe.
Well, think about it. Patience when you're feeling frustrated with someone. Active and attentive listening to truly understand another person rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. And consistently respecting others' boundaries and viewpoints. All of these aren't just spontaneous reactions, right? They are conscious choices. Choices to engage constructively, to manage your own reactions and emotions, to prioritize the well-being of the relationship rather than reacting impulsively, defensively, or self-centeredly. It's the discipline to pause, reflect, and choose a higher, more empathetic path in your interactions. That fosters deeper connections and mutual respect.
So, as you're diligently building consistency with your English studies, dedicating those minutes each day, even when you don't feel like it, you're actually, almost without realizing it, honing a profoundly transferable skill. This skill will pay incredible dividends across your career. It'll enhance your overall well-being and health, solidify your financial stability, and even deepen and improve your personal connections. It's an amazing, truly multifaceted return on investment. It makes the effort worthwhile far beyond just the language itself. It's like a complete upgrade to your operating system. Okay, let's get incredibly practical now. Our sources don't just tell us why discipline is important, which is valuable in itself, but they pivot to giving us concrete, actionable steps, things you can actually do. So if you're sitting there wondering, okay, how do I start building this superpower today? How do I actually weave it into the fabric of my life and make it stick? Then listen up. This section is essentially your playbook for cultivating discipline, your starting guide.
Yeah, this section is indeed incredibly valuable for the listener. It offers a clear, step-by-step roadmap that simplifies what might seem like an overwhelming task. Because building discipline isn't about grand gestures, it's really about consistent small actions. First, the advice is to start with small habits. Seriously small.
Like ridiculously small.
Almost. Don't aim for perfection or try to overhaul your entire life right out of the gate. That usually leads to rapid burnout and discouragement. Instead, begin with something incredibly manageable, something you know you can genuinely commit to, like committing to just 10 minutes of English a day. Or, if you're trying to exercise, maybe it's 2 push-ups. If you want to read more, maybe it's 1 page of a book. The sources powerfully emphasize that small wins lead to big victories. These small, consistent successes build momentum, they foster a sense of accomplishment, and critically, they build belief in your own ability to follow through. They create a foundation of trust with yourself. Second, have a set time. Pick a time and stick to it. One of the biggest drains on willpower is constantly having to decide when to do something. Should I do it now? Later? Maybe tomorrow?
Decision fatigue.
Exactly. Creating a consistent schedule removes this daily decision-making fatigue. Whether it's after breakfast or before bed, establishing a same time every day builds consistency. This routine anchors the habit into your daily flow, making it almost automatic. It reduces the mental friction of starting. For instance, if your English study time is always 7 a.m., you don't wake up wondering if you'll do it. It's simply what you do at 7 a.m. This consistency builds a powerful internal cue.
That makes so much sense. Routine really is the enemy of procrastination and decision fatigue, isn't it? It just removes that internal debate. Should I? Shouldn't I?
Totally. Third, track your progress. Don't underestimate the profound psychological power of visual reinforcement. Seriously, use a simple tool, a notebook, a calendar, or an app designed for habit tracking. Whatever works for you. And mark every single day you practice. Put a big X or a check mark. The visual evidence of seeing your streak grow, of seeing those check marks accumulate day after day, week after week, feels good.
Yeah, that little dopamine hit.
Exactly. And it powerfully reinforces the habit. Seeing that chain of success makes you not want to break it. It's concrete proof of your consistency, which can be a huge motivator, especially on days you feel less motivated. Fourth, reward yourself. Now, wait. While discipline is about doing what's right even when it's not easy, positive reinforcement is still incredibly effective for solidifying new habits.
So it's not about only pushing through.
Right. After a period of consistent effort, maybe like after 7 days of discipline, treat yourself. This isn't about grand gestures that undermine your disciplined efforts, of course. It should be something small you genuinely enjoy that doesn't derail your progress. Perhaps an extra episode of your favorite show, a special coffee, an hour dedicated to a hobby. A reward creates positive reinforcement. It links the discipline action with a pleasurable outcome and thereby provides motivation to continue. It's a way of acknowledging and celebrating your commitment and reminding yourself that discipline leads to good things. Fifth, create an environment that helps. This is huge. Our surroundings have a much larger impact on our behavior than we often realize. So optimize your surroundings. Make disciplined action easier and remove obstacles. Keep your learning space clean and organized, free of clutter. Turn off distracting notifications on your phone, or better yet, put your phone in another room. Seriously, put it away.
The phone is the killer.
It really is. Use headphones to block out external noise. The goal is to make it as easy as possible to focus and remove any barriers to starting your task. If your English book is open on your desk and your phone is out of reach, you're much more likely to start studying than if you have to dig for materials or fight constant pings from your device. Prime your environment for success. Make the desired action the path of least resistance.
That's often overlooked, isn't it? How much our physical and digital space impacts our ability to focus and follow through. It's like you're setting yourself up for success before you even begin, making it easier on yourself.
It's truly underestimated.
Yeah.
And it actually leverages your laziness in a positive way. Make the good habit the easy option. Sixth, and this is crucial for long-term adherence and resilience, learn from failure. Because you will fail sometimes. You'll miss a day.
It happens.
It absolutely happens. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about resilience and persistent effort over time. If you miss a day or even a few days, the absolute worst thing you can do is quit altogether.
Don't let it derail everything.
Exactly. Don't quit. Don't let one misstep or a temporary lapse destroy your entire effort and lead you to abandon your goal. Forgive yourself and get back on track immediately. The next day, or even the next moment. Without dwelling on the missed day, the sources are clear. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about never giving up. It's about the next action, not dwelling on the last one. The strength of your discipline is revealed not in avoiding mistakes, but in how quickly you recover from them. And finally, seventh, surround yourself with disciplined people.
Ah, the power of community.
Yes, energy is contagious, and so is dedication and consistent effort. Join a study group, find an accountability partner, follow inspiring YouTubers or teachers, listen to podcasts like this one, hopefully, that motivate you to stay on track. Positive influence can provide invaluable accountability. It can offer practical tips and strategies you might not have considered, and it can bolster your own motivation through shared commitment and a sense of community. When you see others successfully applying discipline, it makes it feel more achievable for you too. Their success can become your inspiration.
These aren't complicated steps by any stretch of the imagination, but they are profoundly powerful in their cumulative effect. Implementing even just a few of these strategies consistently can create significant, unstoppable momentum for you on your journey toward whatever goal you're pursuing, whether it's mastering English, improving your health, advancing your career, or anything else entirely. It's about building a consistent framework that supports your growth. Okay, now, just as important as knowing what to do is knowing what not to do.
Right.
Our sources very helpfully highlight some common traps and pitfalls, things that can easily derail your efforts to build discipline, even when you start with the best intentions and the highest motivation. Recognizing these patterns can save you a lot of frustration, lost time, and the pain of giving up.
Yes, this section is indeed critical for preventing common self-sabotage, the kind that many of us almost unwittingly fall into. The sources identify several key mistakes that can subtly but effectively undermine your discipline and lead to abandoning your goals. First, a very common and insidious one, waiting to feel ready.
The I'll start when I feel like it trap.
Exactly. This is the trap of perpetual procrastination. The powerful and direct advice here is simple. You'll never feel ready. Period. The feeling rarely precedes the action. Often, action precedes motivation. People often think they need to be in a certain mood, have a burst of energy, or feel some surge of inspiration before they can start. But true progress comes from starting despite how you feel.
Just start.
Just start now, despite any apprehension or lack of enthusiasm. Because the feeling of readiness is an elusive and unreliable precursor to effective action. You start the engine, and the motivation often kicks in after you get going. Second, another significant pitfall. Setting unrealistic goals. This is a classic mistake, often fueled by that initial wave of enthusiasm.
Going too big too fast.
Right. Don't commit to something unsustainable right from the beginning, like declaring, I'll study English for 3 hours every single day, if you know, deep down, that you can't genuinely maintain that level of intensity consistently, given your other responsibilities. This ambitious but ultimately unachievable target inevitably leads to burnout. It leads to crushing frustration when you inevitably miss days, eventually. Giving up altogether because the goal just feels impossible. It's far better to aim for something smaller and stick to it consistently, building momentum, than to aim for the moon and burn out on launch.
It's such a common mistake, isn't it? We get so excited at the start that we overcommit. Thinking more is always better, but it often leads to less in the long run because we just can't keep it up.
Absolutely. The enthusiasm can blind us to the reality of sustained effort. It really can. Then third, another powerful demotivator. Comparing yourself to others. This one is toxic.
Comparison trap.
Yeah. The sources strongly advise. Focus on your progress and your journey alone. Everyone's journey is different. We all have unique starting points, inherent talents maybe, different challenges, our own pace. External comparisons almost always breed discouragement. They make you feel inadequate, even when you're making significant personal strides. You might see someone who seems to pick up English effortlessly and instantly feel like a failure. But you rarely see the full picture of their effort, their background, the hours they put in when no one was looking.
Right, you only see the highlight reel.
Exactly. Your path is uniquely yours. Focusing inward on your own incremental improvements is far more productive and, frankly, sustaining for your motivation. And finally, fourth, a critical mistake that undermines self-discipline is being too hard on yourself, beating yourself up.
The inner critic.
Yeah. Discipline shouldn't be a punitive, harsh regimen that leads to self-criticism, guilt, and this constant feeling of not being good enough. The sources remind us, self-discipline doesn't mean self-hate. Be firm but kind with yourself.
Firm but kind. I like that.
It's a good balance. Acknowledge your effort, celebrate your small wins, and understand that perfection isn't the goal. It's not even possible, really. The journey of discipline is about consistent effort and growth, not flawless execution. If you miss a day, don't use it as an excuse to spiral and quit for good. Practice self-compassion. Recognize you're human. Learn from the lapse, if there's something to learn, and simply get back on track the very next day or the next hour. This self-compassion is vital for long-term adherence and building a sustainable practice of discipline. It keeps you in the game.
The secret then, as our sources so insightfully reveal, isn't about aiming for perfect discipline, which is an impossible, often paralyzing target anyway. It's about aiming for daily progress, even if that progress feels tiny some days. That's a subtle but incredibly important distinction for anyone starting or continuing this journey. It shifts the focus from an intimidating, unattainable ideal to manageable, consistent action, day in and day out. Hashtag outro. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the profound power of discipline, we've truly seen how it isn't just, a buzzword or some abstract concept you're either born with or not. It's a tangible, learnable skill, built with consistent practice, and it transforms mere potential into undeniable reality. It's the accumulation of those consistent, often small, deliberate choices that ultimately lead to truly big, life-altering victories, whether in language learning or any other pursuit you care about.
Yeah, and this raises an important question for you, the listener, to carry forward beyond this deep dive. What does every single act of discipline, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, truly mean for you, the individual? Our sources provide a powerful and very personal answer. Every time you study English, even for just 15 minutes, every time you choose what's right over what's easy, every time you push through that initial resistance, you're doing more than simply learning words or ticking off a task on your to-do list. You are fundamentally proving to yourself, through concrete action, I can be consistent, I can grow, I can succeed.
Building that self-belief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Discipline isn't a mystical gift you either possess or lack. It's a skill you build, daily, incrementally, through intentional and consistent action. It's the muscle that grows stronger with every thoughtful repetition.
And that's your provocative thought to carry forward from this deep dive. You don't need to do grand, monumental things to achieve success. You just need to consistently do the right things daily. The small things add up. The sources challenge all of us really, to take one immediate small step after listening to this. Right now, as soon as this deep dive ends, open your English book. Or write a few sentences in English, or listen to one short English podcast, or simply speak out loud in English for just 5 minutes, just one small action. And then tomorrow, do it again, and the day after that, do it again. Because before you know it, you won't just be learning English, you'll be living a more focused, a more powerful, and ultimately a more successful life all, because you chose to embrace the transformative power of discipline. Until next time, stay disciplined and stay inspired.